Hey guys, this is just going to be a really quick video. I just wanted to kind of basically post up just a question and answer video really. So since my last video about, quite a few months ago about getting to know me better and stuff, I just thought, okay, obviously now I've got more subscribers and maybe they haven't all seen the video, so this is your opportunity to ask me questions. So what I did, I've actually got onto my Twitter account and my Facebook account, and I've asked all of you to post me your questions, and this is going to be literally like a live video, so I'm going to just be streaming it through my camera and then just putting it up. So hopefully there's going to be no editing, it's just going to be a raw live question and answer session of you guys. So hopefully no personal questions in there, but I don't mind personal questions, but just like sometimes it can be a little bit too probing. And let's start with the first question. So Sadia Rahman on Facebook has asked me, at what age did you start to get into makeup, and what advice do you have for young artists in the makeup industry? I started makeup at the age of 16. Basically I was working on a cosmetic counter, well, a few cosmetic counters, basically applying makeup onto customers, giving them makeovers, and that's really how it started off. Then I ended up working for an agency who were basically doing temp-in type of work, where they would get me to work in different department stores. So basically if a lady was on maternity leave, one of the member of their staff, I'd go in and like take over her role for that 2-week period or 6 weeks or whatever it was that they wanted me to do that time for. But initially it was just working on makeup counters, and then afterwards it kind of developed, and I can go into that more detail maybe with more questions depending on what people have asked. So yeah, so age of 16, that's when I started. This is from Iman Tahir Obaid from Facebook. When and how did you realise that you have such an amazing talent that you need to share its beauty with the world around you? To be honest, I've always been very creative. I've always been quite artistic. So from an early age, even before the whole makeup thing started, I used to be, very much into like drawing, colouring, painting. So I did excel in art and graphics. I did get my sort of A stars back then, and I guess it kind of developed into a makeup, basically makeup creative side, to bring out the creative side in me. So what would happen is that people that could, friends of mine who would see me obviously with my own makeup started to ask me to do their makeup for their like engagement day or wedding day and things like that, and then I would do the makeup and they would love it so much, and then afterwards I thought, I want to start getting paid for this. So I didn't really go into it in that respect straight away. I just sort of had that thing in the back of my mind, always thinking, well, I am good at this, and people are asking me to do their makeup for a special day, one of the most important days of their lives. So just in relation to the question, I guess I got that confidence from doing Real Brides, and then it just kind of spawned from there, and I just started obviously doing more bookings and actually created the website. And I guess each makeup artist has her own individual style, so people started to book me because they could see that my work maybe had a certain signature look about it. So I hope that answers that question, Iman. Then I have Shagufta Noor, I think that's your name, sorry if I said it wrong. How do you manage work and home life? I have to say it is extremely hard to manage both home and work life. However, with the support of obviously my husband, my family around me, particularly my husband, who has been a really sort of like a real rock for me, because whenever obviously I have a booking, or if I have somebody that needs to for me to travel quite far away, then obviously I need somebody to look after little Sami, my little boy, and obviously my husband's taken on that role to kind of obviously support me, and he just says, don't worry about it, I'll look after him, and has been really supportive. And I think that's really important to have that support, whether it's from your husband or your family. And obviously my family are always there, but to manage the whole life work type of thing, it's more to do with kind of almost juggling everything at the same time. So obviously looking after the house, but at the same time keeping track of the work side of things. So I don't think there's a formula for it, as long as you're kind of making sure that there's a good balance between doing the work and at the same time making sure that you make time for family time, and making sure that, you know, you don't obviously neglect your family, because sometimes I do get a bit engrossed into the whole work side of things, and my husband's just like sitting there thinking, hello, like, you know, what's happening? You know, you haven't even spoken to me for the past 15 minutes because you've been checking your Twitter and Facebook and stuff. So do apologise for that. Okay, so yeah, it's difficult to manage, but I guess for me anyway, the way that works best is to juggle everything, to make sure that everything's in the air at the same time, and just making sure that I kind of devote enough time for each thing. But then what happens is, in your head, it kind of like, there's no kind of necessarily like, okay, today I'm going to do this or today I'm going to do that. No, because lots of things end up happening and then you just don't have time for anything if you just try and dedicate each day at a time. So I don't know if that made any sense, but hopefully it did. I have another question from Sumaya Dawood, and she's asking, what mottos do you stand by, and have you always wanted to be a makeup artist? If so, what inspired or inspires you? What mottos? I've always sort of said to myself that I want to create and not imitate, or innovate and not imitate. But because I've always felt that with creativity you really need to have a signature look or a style, and not necessarily copy other people. So as far back as I can remember, I used to be, like I said, in the classroom, in the art class, I always used to be very, very creative and innovative, and try and think of how can I approach this topic or this subject in a different way rather than the usual way. So just thinking outside the box is another one. What else? Have you always wanted to be a makeup artist? It is something that I've always thought about. It is something that I always thought I guess I'm good at, because I am good at obviously drawing and the shading and all of that stuff. So it wasn't necessarily something that I thought that would actually end up being my career. But after studying, I did cognitive science, so that's like psychology, as a degree, and that was, you know, good to have as a degree. But I think in the back of my mind I always wanted to do something more creative and more artistic. And what inspires you? What inspires me generally is just everyday situations. It could be like seeing a butterfly float by and then my mind gets going, like I start thinking about whether it's a photo shoot with butterfly inspired, or it could be, you know, the whole butterfly process, how they're, you know, start off as caterpillars and then they turn into butterflies, you know, the whole transformation. So lots of things inspire me, and my mind is always ticking all the time. Like I see something and I never see it for necessarily what it is. I always try and think of creative ways, and it's not something intentional. It's always like, it just happens. I just think that way, I think. So I hope that answers your question, Sumaya. And then I've got another question from Saeeda Rahman. When did you start wearing hijab, and what subjects did you study at GCSE and university? I started wearing my hijab at 10 years old, so I was quite young, and back then there wasn't many muhajjabas at school, or young muhajjabas anyway, wearing scarves, so it was quite difficult, especially because I wore it at the age of 10, so I was still in primary school, and all my friends basically when they saw me with my scarf, obviously being a 10-year-old, they just didn't understand it, and I no longer had any friends, and I was just like, what, you know, what's happened? Why have they abandoned me, you know? And it was quite difficult wearing hijab at such a young age, but I really, really appreciate it now, because if anything, it was actually easier now wearing it at 10 rather than having to wear it at a later age. I always admire and find it so amazing that people of an older age, once you've sort of in your teenage years or even university years, if you decide to wear the hijab, it is something that is, I guess, quite a big life change. So although it affected me at primary school level, I'm sure it affects people that wear it at a much older age. And what subjects did you study at GCSE university? GCSEs, I studied all the main, obviously, core subjects: science, maths, English, did humanities, RE, I did graphic design, I did art, I did, what else? History, I studied, I studied I think 9 or 10 GCSEs, so all the main ones. And at university, the funny thing was at A level I was going to study art. These were going to be my subjects: art, psychology, and media. And then on the day of the actual enrollment, when you can sign up for your subjects, I went in and I just thought, hold on a second, I can actually do science subjects with this. And I thought this would really please my parents if I end up coming back home saying, oh, I ended up doing science. So I actually, on the actual day of my enrollment, I changed my A levels to biology, chemistry, and psychology I kept. I don't know why I did that. I wish I hadn't. I wish I can go back in time and do the subjects that I initially wanted to do, which was the media and art side of things. But I think I still would have ended up doing what I'm doing now, so either way it kind of worked out. And at university I studied cognitive science, which is the study of the brain, the mind, so the psychology basically of the human mind, but as well as the biological aspect, so the neuroscience of it. And I studied that at Westminster University. Let's move on to the Twitter questions. And then maybe I'll go back to the Facebook, because this is actually a live feed right now. I'm just like recording this. Hopefully I've got enough battery and enough time on the camera memory card. Okay, Twitter. Let's see who's following me on Twitter and wants to find out any questions. I bet you there's no one on there. There's like probably one question, because none of you follow me on Twitter. Okay, there are at least 3 questions. How long have you been a makeup artist? Well, I am 31 now, so since the age of 16. I guess I wouldn't say I was a makeup artist then, but I've been within the makeup world or makeup industry for about 15 years. So yeah, quite a long time. What's your favourite dish? I love food in general, so I like curry, I like butter chicken. So there's this restaurant called Khan's Restaurant in Bayswater, and they make the most amazing butter chicken. So I love that. I love lasagna. I love pasta. I love Arabic food. I just love good tasting food. I love Turkish food. There's a really nice restaurant called Besmangal, which is my favourite restaurant. They make the most amazing like chicken and meat and rice dishes and salad, and it's just amazing. If you live in London and you ever get to go to this restaurant, it's called Besmangal, make sure you check it out. It's really nice tasty food. And now you made me hungry. Thanks. And there's another question, sorry, that was by Farheen, that question, Farheen. Another question by L Khan, Labina Khan, I think it is, on Twitter. She's saying, which makeup product can you not live without? If it's just a general product, like not a specific brand, I think I would say, interesting, because I would have said mascara, but then I also like my kohl liner, because kohl pencil you can actually put on the waterline, you can put it to create a smoky effect. But then I also like my cream blusher if I wanted kind of a natural look. But if I had to just live on a desert island with no makeup products, I would probably, to make me feel better, I would probably end up wanting just the mascara. And then I'll kind of make, like out of a stick, I'll make like an eyeliner brush or something, and then I'll use the mascara to make eyeliner and kohl and stuff. And I'll probably find other things in the desert to kind of create my own makeup with. Use the sand for exfoliating and coconut. Anyway, we won't get into that.